divine blessings manifested for those who honor all they've received. 7 miracles revealed. In a quaint English village where time seemed to stand still and faith breathed through every family, the air was heavy with expectancy. Mary, a humble woman known for her unwavering faith and boundless generosity, had called for a prayer vigil at the weather-beaten chapel that stood as their spiritual home. People whispered of miracles waiting to be unveiled, miracles that danced just beyond their grasp, beckoning them closer. The candles flickered like stars, casting a warm glow on the faces of villagers gathered. As Mary led with a fervent heart, each prayer wove a tapestry of hope, binding their souls together. That night, the air crackled with a spiritual energy, as if the very walls of the chapel held secrets waiting to be unlocked. As they prayed, a slip of wind rustled through, sending shivers down their spines, a whisper of something divine. "Divine blessings! We must honor all we've received," Mary urged, her voice clear and steady despite the tears glistening in her eyes. Even with the weight of David's illness hanging over them like a storm cloud, she felt a flicker of courage swell within her, a tiny ember in the midst of overwhelming darkness. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Hours stretched on, filled with muffled sobs and whispered hopes. The villagers' prayers grew like wildflowers, bold and vibrant in faith, yet silence lingered, heavy and palpable. In that moment of deepest yearning, a spirited man, once a skeptic, stood before them. His eyes shone with clarity as he declared, "Miracles manifest for those who honor and express gratitude for all they've received." The truth in his words struck like a lightning bolt, invigorating, terrifying. Could they truly see the divine emerge from their simple lives? Mary's heart raced as doubt wrestled within her. She gathered her neighbors, imploring them to set aside disbelief, to stand together in humble gratitude. One after another, they joined hands, forming a circle of unity against despair, bolstering one another's shaky faith. The chapel seemed to thrum with a life of its own, and whispers of divine possibilities washed over them like waves. Yet, as the night deepened, the weight of unknown questions hung thick among the villagers. Would this night mark a divine turning point? Could faith fracture the chains of despair? Just as dawn began to stroke the horizon with gentle strokes of light, a wisp of wind danced through the open door, carrying a fragrance of roses and incense. Breathless, Mary raised her hands high, surrendering to grace. Out in the depths of their silence, the villagers held their breath, teetering on the edge of hope, daring to believe that God was about to unleash miracles upon them. Would their fervent pleas manifest into reality? The chapter ends here, pulsing with anticipation, leaving a shimmer of wonderment. The unfolding of divine grace was just beginning, and the community buzzed with questions of faith, purpose, and the power of gratitude. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of gold and lavender, an uncontainable excitement shimmered through the chapel. The villagers, still clasping hands, exchanged cautious glances, their hearts echoing in rhythm with the soft whispers of the breeze. Hope felt tangible, woven into the very fabric of their gathering. Mary felt a warmth flood her heart. Beyond mere hope, it was a knowing. She glanced towards the altar, adorned with humble flowers brought by neighbors, reminiscent of their spirit. "Look around us," she spoke gently, her voice carrying a soft conviction. "Each bloom signifies a prayer, a promise, and every whisper honors our journey." The villagers leaned in, soaking in her words like the fertile ground welcoming the first rains of spring. Was there a deeper truth in their togetherness, binding them against the darkness? Mary could sense the energy shifting. It felt sacred. Then a tremor of laughter broke the solemnity. A child, bright and innocent, tugged at her dress. Little Samuel, with tousled hair and mischief in his eyes, declared proudly, "I asked God for a miracle last night. I felt it in my heart." His bright, unfiltered faith sparked a lightness in the room. Laughter bubbled in response, mingling with the fragrance of blooms and the lingering incense. It reminded them that miracles didn't always come cloaked in grandeur. Sometimes they appeared in the playful earnestness of a child. Mary knelt beside him, placing a hand on his tiny shoulder. "You remind us of the joy in believing, Samuel. It is in our hearts that we must first see the miracle." With spirits lifted, the villagers began to share their own hopes, visions of restoration, of healing, of unity. Old Mrs. Thompson, whose frail hands had once trembled, spoke out, "I pray for strength for my neighbors and for our families, but most of all for David." Silence enveloped them, wrapping their shared concern around their hearts, igniting their resolve. "Let us lift our voices higher," Mary encouraged with renewed fervor. "Every prayer we offer draws us closer to the divine." The group began to sing, their voices harmonizing like a chorus of angels, rising above the chapel's worn rafters and into the heavens. As the final notes lingered in the air, the atmosphere shifted again. A holy stillness wrapped around them. The light filtered through the stained glass, casting sacred colors on the stone floor, creating a breathtaking mosaic that felt alive. It was as if heaven itself was participating, illuminating their faith-driven gathering. In that decisive moment, a soft whisper wove through Mary's mind, an unspoken message urging her to seek the heart of God's plan. Could it be that their prayers were not just words, but keys to unlock the hidden treasures of faith? The time of testing neared. She could feel it. Would despair break them, or would their unwavering gratitude succeed in tearing down the walls that held them captive? The questions hung heavy in the air, yet there was a hint of divine laughter within the mystery. Perhaps this was merely the first step in a grander unfolding. As the villagers bowed their heads once more, silence hung thick with expectation. What awaited them on the edge of faith? Would their hearts see the miracles they longed for? The mystery deepened. The promise of divine intervention lingered, firmly secured in their collective courage and boundless faith. And as the first rays of sunlight kissed the chapel, the question remained, what miracles would the day unveil? The dawning warmth flooded the chapel, wrapping around the villagers like a familiar embrace. Mary felt the stirrings of anticipation in her soul. This was not just a morning, it was a sacred moment, charged with the potential of countless blessings. As the sunlight danced through the stained glass, she witnessed hope shimmering in the eyes of her neighbors. "Today is the day," she whispered softly to herself, sensing it deep within. "Today, God will show us." Little Samuel, still at her side, rubbed his eyes as if shaking off sleep. His innocence radiated a purity that reminded everyone present of the childlike faith they yearned to embody. "Can we see the miracles right now, Mary? I want to see them." His voice rang with eagerness. The villagers smiled knowingly at Samuel's plea. Hope relished in the joy of the child. "Yes, we can see them, but perhaps the greatest miracles will show themselves in our hearts," Mary replied, her voice steady and warm. "Miracles can be small, too, not just the big ones that shake the heavens." As if echoing her wisdom, Elder Mr. Johnson stepped forward, leaning heavily on his cane. His brow furrowed in thought, yet his eyes sparkled with light. "I remember a time, many years ago, when a storm threatened our crops. We prayed, and that very evening the skies were clear, untouched by winds." His story tangled with the whispers of the past and resonated with faith. One after another, the villagers began to share tales, fragments of hope entwined with the bold strokes of divine participation in their lives. Mrs. Thompson shared her prayer of healing, how old illnesses seemed to fade as she placed her trust in God. Young couples spoke of broken relationships mended through forgiveness and grace. Each experience painted a vivid tapestry of their shared journey, a reminder of unseen hands at work. As the sun rose higher, illuminating their faces, Mary sensed a shift within her own spirit. The miracle unfolding wasn't just one of divine intervention. It was a deep resonance of community love, woven together in commitment and faith. It was beginning to dawn upon them that the very act of gathering, of opening their hearts, was part of the miracle itself. "Let us take a moment," she prompted, her voice smooth and inviting. "Breathe in the love we share," she encouraged, guiding them into stillness. Eyes closed, they inhaled and exhaled together, letting peace settle like a soft blanket. In that precious stillness, a soft glow enveloped the altar. It grew warmer, more radiant, pulling their gaze. The flowers that adorned the altar swayed gently, though no wind stirred. Murmurs swept through the congregation, hearts racing with a sense of the divine. Mary, her heart soaring, felt tears prick at her eyes, not tears of sadness, but of profound joy. The realization washed over her like a wave, leaving her breathless. "What if our faith is the very light that brings these miracles to life?" she whispered, almost to herself. "What if our belief opens the gates of heaven wider than we can imagine?" Suddenly, Samuel pointed, his little finger aimed high. "Look, they're shining! The flowers are shining!" Excited gasps mingled in the air, a chorus of praise rising anew. The villagers turned their attention to the altar, where something mystical unfolded. A radiant warmth filled the space, blessing them with untold grace. Their hearts unified, they began to sing, each voice layered with faith, weaving a melody that matched the rhythm of their hopes. Yet as the day began to unfold, an unsettling thought nudged at Mary's mind. What did this all mean? Was their faith truly stirring the heavens? Would their hearts be ready for the miracles, both seen and yet to be revealed? As the chapel brimmed with light and song, the question lay heavy. Would they have the courage to embrace what was soon to come from above? The air sparkled with divine possibilities, alive with anticipation. What awaited them as the sun progressed, and how would their lives change under such an otherworldly blessing? In that sacred moment, as the last echoes of their song faded into the warm glow of the chapel, a hush fell over the villagers. Time seemed to stand still. Mary stood at the forefront, her heart beating with purpose, aware that something was about to unfold. The air thickened with expectancy. They were drawn together, bound not just by their earthly ties, but by a spiritual thread woven by faith and love. Mary swept her gaze across the faces around her, faces lined with hope, joy, and a touch of trepidation. What would God reveal next? As if responding to their unspoken prayers, a brilliant light broke through the cobwebbed windows of the chapel, bathing the congregation in a magnificent golden hue. The flowers, still shimmering, seemed to sway not just with motion, but pulsated with life, celebrating the divine magic surrounding them. Samuel's eyes widened, filled with innocent wonder, as he clutched Mary's hand tightly. "Do you feel that?" he whispered, barely able to contain his excitement. Mary nodded slowly, the air tinged with warmth that felt as if it were wrapping around them all. "Yes, Sam, it's love, God's love." Mr. Johnson stepped forward again, his cane clutched more tightly in anticipation. "A miracle is like a seed, is it not? It needs faith to become something beautiful." His voice shook slightly with emotion, but his resolve was unwavering. Just then, glimmers of light flickered above the altar,
a manifestation of hope and promise. Everyone felt it, an unexplainable pull that urged them closer. Mary could hardly believe her eyes. The light danced playfully above the altar, moving as though it were alive, leading each heart to consider what miracles could mean in their lives. "Let us pray," came a voice from the back. It was Mrs. Thompson, her spirit ignited. Others quickly chimed in, creating a wave of intention that flowed toward the altar. Kneeling together, the villagers bowed their heads, hearts open and attuned to whatever was coming. "God of all creation, we thank you for the blessings," Mary began, leading them into a chorus of gratitude and surrender. They prayed for healing, for love, for strength. Every whisper escaped their lips was a gentle offering, an anticipation of what might come to bear. Suddenly, Mary felt a gentle nudge in her heart, an opening, as if God were saying, "You have already seen the light. Now open your eyes to deeper truths." A gentle breeze flowed through the chapel, brushing against their faces. It felt sacred, wrapping around each individual like a blanket. "Will you share in my miracles?" she felt God asking. A ripple of quiet joy washed through the congregation. They nodded, hearts resonating with promise. Each soul held tightly to their visions, dreams, and aspirations. As their prayers intensified, the air crackled with divine energy. The flowers blazed even more brightly, and the atmosphere shifted. A sense of unity filled everyone, a feeling of being part of something so much larger. And then, all at once, a small voice spoke up. It was Samuel again. I believe we will see miracles." His declaration rang with childlike faith, pure and untainted. It echoed around the chapel, and the villagers found their spirit revitalizing through his simple truth. "What if we are meant to recognize miracles every day?" Mary pondered aloud. "What if the blessings we receive, small or grand, are meant to lead us closer to God's heart?" The chapel filled with soft murmurs of agreement, hands clasped tighter, faces turned towards the altar. Yet, even with this budding promise, a deep question lingered. Were they truly ready for the miracles? Would they embrace the unknown with open hearts? As the sunlight danced above them, the congregation remained in devotion, open to the waves of divine blessings washing over. They sensed something significant on the horizon, something powerful stirring within each heart. In that precious moment of collective faith
And devotion, they stood ready. What wonders waited to emerge? Would their hearts be prepared to receive whatever gifts were soon to be unveiled? As the golden light brightened, they all leaned closer, hearts pounding. What awaited them just beyond this divine threshold? The answer lingered like incense in the air, promising change, beckoning them to step boldly into the unknown. As the golden light enveloped them, a palpable stillness settled over the chapel. The villagers breathed in unison, their collective heartbeats syncing with the rhythm of divine energy filling the space. It was a moment pregnant with potential, a time when the improbable could become reality. Mary scanned the room, sensing the weight of expectation mingled with hope. Her gaze rested on Mr. Johnson, who had closed his eyes, breathing in the blessed atmosphere. "Miracles come to those who believe and embrace every small blessing," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, yet imbued with deep conviction. Around them, the villagers began to shift. They spoke softly among themselves, sharing stories that filled their hearts with light. One shared about a long-lost loved one finding their way back to the fold. Another spoke of healing, where tiny symptoms vanished overnight, leaving only the echo of what was. "Have you seen the beauty in our everyday lives?" Mary's thought danced through the air. "Have you recognized the whispers of God in your troubles?" With renewed fervor, the congregation fell into a deep silence, their souls collectively pondering. The light above the altar pulsed gently, encouraging them to dive deeper into their faith. Samuel, still clutching Mary's hand, whispered,
I think he's telling us stories. In that sacred space, Mary felt the flood of divine assurance wash over her. Let's share what we've seen, she proposed, her heart brimming with excitement. Let's tell our miracles. Mrs. Thompson stood first, her eyes glistening. I had given up hope for my garden this season, but just last week the flowers bloomed like never before. Each petal a testament to God's faithfulness. The congregation echoed her joy, laughter bubbling into the air. One by one, they offered their stories. A man spoke of a serendipitous encounter that rejuvenated his spirit. A mother shared her joy at her child's remarkable progress in school. Even the smallest moments felt significant, like the sun shining through a storm, illuminating paths hidden from view. As each account filled the chapel, the weight of their collective faith increased. Laughter turned to awe as Samuel's bright eyes sparked inspiration across the room. His voice rang clear. God is all around us. Look, He loves us so much. The simplicity of his belief ignited something profound in each heart present. Suddenly, Mary felt an electrifying surge through her. What if this is just the beginning? She exclaimed. What if every miracle we name today opens the door for even bigger ones? The congregation shifted, feeling the anticipation rise like a tide. They responded with fervor, their hearts beating with a rhythm.
Hope, daring to dream of what could follow. The air shimmered with the potential of wholeness, healing broken relationships, bringing peace to restless souls, and awakening dreams long thought lost. As they spoke of their miracles, the light above the altar began to swirl, changing hues, painting the air with colors only dreams could conjure. Embrace the unexpected, Mary felt God whisper to her heart. Prepare to receive the unimagined. In this vibrant wave of faith, they tucked away each revelation as a seed, planting hope into the soil of their souls. Yet somewhere deep in everyone's spirit lurked questions. What awaited them on this journey? Would they remain open to the miracles that God was ready to reveal? It was clear that something monumental was on the horizon. Each moment spent sharing their faith was planting the groundwork for profound transformations. With hearts racing and spirits open, they stood poised on the edge of the miraculous. "Will we gather again to see what unfolds?" Mary asked, feeling the pulsing energy vibrate within her. "Will we continue to believe?" In response, the chapel filled with a harmonious chorus of "Yes!" echoing off the walls, alive with anticipation. As the golden light shimmered like a reminder of God's promise, they realized they were not just waiting for miracles, they were becoming them. What wonders awaited as they stepped forward, ready to embrace the unknown faith that now beckoned to them. The following day dawned with a serene stillness, the air vibrant with possibilities. Morning light filtered through the chapel windows, casting stained glass shadows that danced in delight. As Mary arrived, she was greeted by the warm smiles of her fellow villagers, each face radiating hope and joy. The atmosphere buzzed, charged with the promise of what was to come. "Did you feel it?" Mr. Johnson approached her, eyes alight with excitement. "Last night was a turning point. I woke up this morning with a strange sense that our stories are only the beginning." Mary nodded, her heart racing in response to his words. "Yes, it's as though the air is thick with miracles waiting to happen. We must be ready to embrace them." The congregation gathered once more, hearts beating in a shared rhythm of anticipation. The altar stood adorned with fresh flowers and candles, symbols of their blossoming faith. Samuel, unable to contain his enthusiasm, stood at the front, eager to share. "Last night felt like a spark. If we can share more miracles today, imagine how much stronger we'll become." Mary sensed it too. Their hearts were linked, each story weaving a stronger tapestry of trust and belief. "Let's gather around the altar," she suggested, her voice rising above the whispers. "Let's create a space for prayer and testimony. We can lift each other up."
As the villagers gathered close, the light above pulsed with renewed vigor, a kaleidoscope of divine hues dancing across their faces. They formed a circle, hands clasped tightly, as Samuel led them in prayer. "Thank you, God, all that you've given us. Help us to see the miracles in each moment." Soft murmurs of agreement rippled through the group, connecting their spirits to something greater. It was a revelation in unity, each soul contributing to the fabric of their shared testimony. One by one, they began to speak again. A gentle woman named Edith stood, her voice trembling at first. "I was lost for so long, burdened with fear. But yesterday, when I stepped outside, I felt the warmth of the sun embrace me. I was reminded," she paused, swallowing her tears, "that my spirit is also filled with light. I am not alone." A chorus of amen rose from the group, affirming the power of her words. Each testimony poured forth as effortlessly as rain after a long drought. The stories tumbled out, lives touched, faith renewed, and burdens lifted. Laughter, tears, joy, and awe filled the space, creating a symphony of miracles. Mary felt a quickening in her spirit as more miracles were revealed. A neighbor rekindled relationships after years of silence, a child's laughter returning after a time of sadness, a couple finding their way back to love. Each revelation like a shining star in the night sky, illuminating their path forward. The energy swirled around them, lifting hearts in ways they never imagined possible. Then, in the midst of it all, a profound silence fell. A figure entered the chapel, old Mrs. Collins, who had been bedridden for weeks due to an illness. She stood at the doorway, radiant and vibrant, a stark contrast to the frailty they remembered. "I felt a pull," she beamed, stepping into the light, "as if something in me stirred. I am healed." Gasps filled the room, a mixture of astonishment and joy. Mary turned, her heart racing faster. "This is what we spoke of. Each miracle builds on the last. Look at what God is doing among us." As the chapel buzzed with excitement and shouts of praise, Mary felt the stirrings of the divine echo within her, hinting at even greater adventures ahead. "What else is he waiting to show us?" she pondered silently, a thrill of excitement coursing through her veins. As the villagers cheered, united in faith and renewed strength, they realized that they were not just participants in this journey. They were the narrators of a powerful story. But what awaited them in the depths of faith they had yet to explore? Mary's heart swelled at the possibilities, beckoning her to listen closely to the whispers of divine purpose that were beginning to unfold. As the jubilation continued, the chapel felt alive, pulsating with energy that came from deep within each heart. Mary glanced around, taking in the smiling faces, joy radiating off them like the sunlight that poured through the stained glass windows. She could sense the divine presence as it wove through their small community, knitting their stories into a powerful testament of faith. "Let us give thanks for Mrs. Collins," Samuel shouted, his voice. The villagers clapped, the noise echoing like a wave of joy that filled every corner of the chapel. They surrounded Mrs. Collins, hearts filled with prayers of gratitude. Then a silence enveloped them once more. The atmosphere crackled as if everyone instinctively knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. Mary felt a shiver of anticipation dance along her arms. What would God reveal next? "Let's share what we've experienced since yesterday," she urged gently. "Every miracle deserves to be cherished." One by one, the villagers began to share. William, a humble farmer, spoke of how rain had come just in time to revive his withered crops. "I prayed for a miracle," he said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "And the skies opened. I stand here today feeling God's hand upon our land." Another voice rose, vibrant and youthful. Rebecca, a young mother, recounted how her child had been healed of a persistent cough. "I held him tight as I prayed. I knew that the Lord could restore him. And just like that, he is well." The crowd erupted in cheers, her faith echoing in the hearts of those who listened. Mary listened, her spirit soaring with each testimony. It was as though these stories were threads being woven into a great tapestry, each one adding color and depth, telling of love, healing, and hope. Suddenly, Mrs. Collins spoke up again, her voice rising above the crowd, bringing a sense of quiet reverence. My dear friends, it's not just the miracles that bind us. It's our belief, our trust in the goodness of our Lord. Each of your stories holds a piece of the divine. We must nurture this faith together. At her words, a spirit of peace washed over them. They began sharing more personal stories, not just of the fabulous healings and blessings, but also of struggles and the silent battles within their hearts. It was a time of vulnerability, a coming together in honesty and unity. But just as the warmth of connection enveloped them, a shadow crossed Mary's mind. She remembered the man from the previous night, the stranger who had wandered into their gathering, whose face was etched with sorrow. What had become of him? Catching her breath, she turned to Samuel. What about the stranger? Do you think he made it back? We must reach out to him. Absolutely. We can't leave anyone behind, he affirmed. Each soul matters, and sometimes we must be the light that guides others back home. Driven by a sudden determination, Mary felt the urgency ripple like a tempest through her heart. They could not ignore this calling. They should find the man, extend their hands, and invite him back into their family of faith. As she exchanged determined glances with the others, she knew this journey had just begun. They were about to dive deeper into spiritual waters than they ever imagined. What awaited them as they sought out the stranger? Her heart raced with both fear and excitement. The next chapter of their story was out there, a divinely orchestrated adventure waiting to be embraced. Mary gathered the villagers, her voice steady but filled with conviction. We need to look for him. The stranger who felt lost among us deserves our love too. With nods of agreement, a small group formed, vibrant and alive with purpose. Samuel picked up a lantern, the light casting soft shadows on the chapel walls. Let's seek him out tonight. A journey of faith begins with every step we take together. They stepped into the cool evening air, the stars sparkling above, reminding them of God's promises. The road beckoned them onward as they walked, hearts entwined with hope, buzzing with anticipation of what lay ahead. As they ventured beyond the village, the world around them transformed into an enchanting stillness. The rustling leaves whispered promises, and the gentle breeze danced through the air like a prayer. Each step felt significant, a commitment to the mission that bound them together. "Do you think he'll accept us?" Rebecca asked, her voice laced with a hint of uncertainty. Mary turned to her, her faith unwavering. "It doesn't matter. We're called to share our light, no matter the darkness he faces. Love always finds a way." With renewed determination, they moved on, calling the stranger's name into the stillness, trusting that he would hear them. As they approached the edge of the woods where he had been seen before, a shadow flitted across their path. The group stopped abruptly, hearts racing with both fear and curiosity. "Is someone there?" Samuel called into the night, his voice steady but tinged with the weight of expectation. Silence hung thick in the air, but then out stepped the stranger. He was cloaked in shadows, eyes glimmering with a mix of surprise and apprehension. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice low and uncertain. "We are your neighbors," Mary replied, stepping forward, her heart pounding yet emboldened. "We've come to find you, to welcome you back among us." He hesitated, confusion clouding his expression. I thought you'd turn away." "Never! God weaves our lives together for a reason," she said, a spark of urgency in her voice.
Everyone has a place in this community, including you. Let us share your burden." The stranger looked at them, vulnerability cracking through his guarded facade. "I've lost everything," he whispered, tears glistening in the moonlight. "I was searching for solace, but all I found was despair." Mary took a step closer, her voice soft yet fierce with compassion. "We have all stumbled in darkness. Let us walk with you into the light. You aren't alone anymore." The group formed a circle around him, wrapping him in warmth and understanding, as their own stories flooded forward, revealing their own struggles and triumphs. They began to share their joys and miracles, the fabric of their faith interlacing their hearts once more. In that sacred moment, something shifted. The air hummed with the promise of healing. The stranger regarded them with wide, vulnerable eyes, and Mary felt the stirrings of hope building within him. "Can it really be that simple?" he asked, a hint of disbelief threading through his words. "Yes," Samuel declared, joy illuminating his features. "Faith is a journey. We rise together. Every miracle begins with belief." As if on cue, a gentle breeze swept through the clearing, rustling leaves like a heavenly sigh. It was a whisper of affirmation, echoing through the very depths of their souls. "I want to believe," the stranger murmured, hope flickering like a flame in his chest. Mary smiled, her heart swelling. "Then let's pray together." As they bowed their heads, the sacred words weaved through the night, drawing heaven closer. What wondrous changes awaited them in this newfound bond? What miracles lay in the hands of a heart ready to believe? But the story didn't end here. Something miraculous was on the verge of breaking. Would they witness the transformation that faith ignites? The prayer rose like incense into the night, carrying their hopes and affirmations with it. Each word felt like a thread, weaving them tighter into God's tapestry, connecting their spirits. The stranger, whose name they still didn't know, stood in the center of their circle, eyes closed but brow furrowed, as if fighting a battle within. "What's your name?" Mary asked gently, sensing the vulnerability he held so close. "Elias," he answered. The name slipped from his lips like a forgotten tune, a melody returning after years in silence. "Elias," she repeated, cherishing the sound. "You are now among friends. You're home." His eyes blinked open, filled with wonder. "Home? But I don't have a home." Samuel stepped forward, sincerity brightening his eyes. "Home is not just walls and a roof. It's where you are loved, where faith surrounds you. You have a family here with open hearts." Slowly but surely, a fragile smile broke through Elias's doubt. It was the first spark of light they had seen in his eyes. "Can you forgive me for stumbling, for running away?" "Forgive? Oh no, Elias. We embrace you. Every stumble is a step toward growth. We welcome you with love, not judgment," Rebecca added, her voice soft and sure. As they shared stories of their own struggles, laughter mingled with tears. Each revelation was like a balm to their souls. They formed bonds through honesty, vulnerability, and an unyielding trust in God's grace. Samuel's recounting of his own despair over loss echoed in the stillness, mirroring Elias' pain. "I once thought I was alone in my sorrow until I shared it," he said, "and was hoisted into faith by this very community. What I found was more than I could have imagined. Hope is contagious, Elias." At that moment, a star shot across the sky, a blazing testament to the beauty of new beginnings. The villagers gasped in unison, an awestruck silence stretching across the clearing. It felt as if heaven had punctuated their prayers with a sign. "Did you see that?" cried Mary, her voice trembling with excitement. "As we speak hope into existence, heaven listens." Elias looked up, his heart pounding in rhythm with the universe's heartbeat.
Can it really transform, just like that? It can, Mary affirmed, joy coursing through her. Every moment is a choice to embrace love. Your heart can arise from ashes. Somewhere in the depths of his spirit, Elias felt something shift. What he had deemed lost began to take on new life. But with each layer of hope, a flickering shadow of doubt remained. What if I falter again? Then we will pick you up, Mary answered firmly. We are called to rise together. Remember, every wound can teach us. Every fall can guide us. Elias felt warmth spreading through him, igniting something he thought permanent had darkened. It was an inkling of faith, fragile yet radiant. Just then, a whisper of wind swept through the trees, carrying a hint of night bloom's fragrance, as if nature itself celebrated this union. Was the dawn of belief rising within him? "Can you believe in hope as we do?" Samuel asked, eyes glistening with a fervent light. "It is in you, waiting to bloom." I want to try," Elias replied softly, his voice breaking as tears glimmered beneath the stars, reflecting hope's mighty promise. As they gathered him closer, something extraordinary lingered in the air, a divine expectancy crackling like static. Would he take the plunge into this inviting ocean of faith? "Let this night mark a new beginning," Mary whispered, "for the journey of faith has just begun." Would they witness the unfolding of miracles, where vulnerability meets grace? What divine revelations awaited as they walked onward together into the unknown? As the dawn broke gently over the village, Mary awoke with renewed strength coursing through her. The soft rays of sunlight seeped into her room, illuminating the path laid before her, a day full of promise. Today was the day they would witness the true essence of divine miracles. Gathering her thoughts and prayers, she directed her focus inward, remembering the joy Elias had shared under the stars. That spark of hope had ignited something deep within them all, and she felt it still swirling around like the golden light itself. She took a moment to breathe, letting the anticipation swell like the tender heartbeat in her chest. At the chapel, villagers began to gather, hearts aglow with what they'd experienced together the previous night. Each face reflected a piece of the divine puzzle. Each was a stone in the architecture of faith they were building together. Mary looked around, feeling as if every presence there was a testament to the miracles unfolding. "Gather around, everyone," she called, her voice warm and inviting, resonating like a familiar hymn. "Today is a day of celebration. We have woven our stories together, crafted from faith, and now we stand unified, ready to embrace whatever God
has in store for us." A chorus of eager amens erupted from the group, melodies of faith rising to meet heaven. Samuel, beaming with enthusiasm, bounced on his heels. "Can we share more miracles, Mary? It feels good to believe." "Absolutely," Mary agreed, her voice ringing with energy. "Let's see what continues to reveal itself." One by one, villagers recounted their experiences. A man spoke of a chance encounter that brought him new friendships. Another shared how old grievances melted away, healing bonds long strained. Each tale reinforced their connection, like branches of a tree extending toward the light. As a soft breeze floated through the chapel, an unexpected hush settled. Mary's heart pounded. Was this the moment? She felt a seismic shift, an electric current flowing through the hearts and hands joined together. "Friends," she began, her voice steady yet reverent, "in our prayers we've not only given voice to our dreams, we've opened pathways to manifest what God wishes to reveal. Let's raise our voices together now in a prayer of gratitude and surrender." Hand in hand they bowed their heads, a sacred silence enveloping the space. "Dear Lord," Mary prayed, "we thank you for the miracles already present among us. We honor every journey, every story. Open our hearts to the wonders that lie ahead. With every word she spoke, light flooded the chapel like a waterfall of divine love. It washed over them, each villager feeling the warmth seep into their very souls, awakening a deep and lasting transformation. Then an unexpected surge of energy rippled through the gathering. A hush swept over them, and from the back emerged Elias. He stood, no longer cloaked in uncertainty, but radiant with newfound strength. "I felt like a shadow yesterday," he spoke, his voice clear and confident. "But today, I feel like the dawn." The chapel erupted into applause, joy radiating as hearts danced together. Mary's spirit soared. Witness this miracle! Just as the sun rises every day, so too can our faith illuminate the darkest corners. Elias continued, "You showed me love when I thought I was unworthy of it. The truth is, faith is not the absence of doubt, but the presence of assurance in a loving God." The villagers nodded collectively, the essence of unity glowing brightly in their eyes. This was not merely a recounting of miracles. It was a declaration of revival, a proclamation of faith blossoming beneath the light. Mary felt swirling emotions in the air, the collective hope of their community reaching a crescendo. What we have here is more significant than just our individual stories. It's a network of souls journeying together in faith, she beamed, tears of joy sparkling in her eyes. Let us now carry this energy into the world. In that moment, they decided to embark on a journey beyond the chapel's walls, to share their light with those who still wandered in darkness, just as they had once done. Let's show every wayward soul how love can blossom and thrive in every heart, urged Rebecca. As they ventured into the village, bold and joyous, their laughter echoed in the streets. The beautiful essence of faith exploded, enveloping the community. They began inviting neighbors, sharing stories of renewal, and spreading the word about the miracles that surrounded them. The world felt different, brighter, more alive. Every face they met seemed to absorb their light, reflecting the divine grace that had transformed them. Blood, sweat, and tears infused their every word and action, forging a connection that transcended mere human boundaries. As dusk settled gently over the village, casting hues of lavender and gold, the villagers gathered once more outside the chapel. Hearts full, they held hands, encircled in love and faith. Each one felt a calling, an unshakable conviction to continue sharing this revival. "Tonight, let us remember," Mary said, her voice steady and full of conviction. "We are not just bearers of our own miracles, but custodians of faith. Look around you, what blessings we have. Let's ensure they never dim, but shine brighter as we bear witness to the divine wonders in our everyday lives." A ripple of agreement surged. They raised their voices in a jubilant chorus, songs of praise filling the air, unmistakable proof of their rejuvenated hearts. "Divine blessings manifest for those who honor all they've received," they sang, echoing their story of renewal into the night. And as they sang, the stars above twinkled brightly, celebrating each heart reinvigorated by faith. The miracles that began quietly in a quaint chapel had erupted into a vibrant movement of love, a testament of the unyielding connection that thrived among them. This was their closure, their new beginning, forever marked by the divine touch of hope. The journey would continue, each moment rewarding them with manifestations of grace as they stepped boldly into their divine purpose. So, dear friends, remember this story as you go forth. Know that faith is not passive, it's a vibrant dance with the Lord, forever igniting your spirit. Now, if this story moved you, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, showing your support for transformative journeys like this one. And we want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. Share your own miracles and spread the light. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope. Together, let's uplift every soul on our journey.